trade war between the US and China is heating up again. While they are exchanging high tariffs of over 100%, this time, China has completely stopped importing US liquefied natural gas, or LNG.
The Financial Times FT of the UK reported that China has completely stopped importing US LNG since February. According to the report, since February 6, when an LNG ship departed from Corpus Christi, Texas, and arrived in Fujian Province in southern China, there has been no record of US LNG entering China for over 10 weeks. The next ship was originally scheduled to head to China, but when China imposed an additional 15% tariff on US LNG on February 10, the ship abandoned its trip to China and changed course to Bangladesh. Since then, China has started imposing a whopping 49% tariff on US LNG, which has made it economically unviable, and has caused Chinese importers to stop purchasing US LNG. This is not the first time this has happened. During President Trump's first term, China also stopped importing US LNG for over a year. But this time, things are a little different. The FT analyzed that this measure is likely to lead to strengthened energy cooperation between Russia and China. In particular, there were concerns that China's decision could have a negative impact on large-scale LNG terminal projects underway in the US and Mexico. Anne-Sophie Cobo, a gas expert at Columbia University's Center for Global Energy Policy, said, "It is unlikely that Chinese LNG importers will sign new contracts for US LNG in the future. Since Russia's invasion of Ukraine, China's share of US LNG imports has already been decreasing. In 2021, 11% of China's LNG imports were from the US. But last year, it fell by nearly half to 6%. Jillian Becerra, an analyst at logistics information company Kepler, predicted the possibility of resuming trade between the two countries is low for the time being. He added, this suspension could last more than a year, and China has enough conditions to endure the current situation. Instead, China is actively importing Russian LNG. Chinese ambassador to Russia Zhang Hanhui said that there are many buyers who want Russian LNG, and that the Chinese embassy is receiving continuous requests to connect with Russian companies. In fact, Russia is now China's third largest LNG supplier, after Australia and Qatar. And the two countries are negotiating supply volumes and prices for the construction of a new gas pipeline, called the Power of Siberia 2. If tariffs rise to levels that are currently blocking trade, global trade flows could be completely reorganized, warned Richard Bronze of energy consulting firm Energy Aspects. LNG demand across Asia could drop by up to 10 million tons. And LNG prices in European markets could also fall slightly accordingly, he analyzed. Meanwhile, the ongoing tariff war between the United States and China is behind this move. Since February 10, China has imposed an additional 15% tariff on US coal and LNG, and 10% on crude oil, agricultural machinery, and vehicles, and as retaliatory measures have continued, China's current tariff rate on the US has risen to 125%. The US has maintained a hardline trade policy, stating that the cumulative tariffs imposed on China since the second term of the Trump administration have reached 145%.
The energy and tariff war between the US and China is now shaking up the global trade landscape. Tariffs are no longer just numbers, they are becoming strategic weapons.